Hi everyone, it's Juliet, back again with another video. Today I'm going to show you how to do a really pretty and kind of very relaxing, it's quite a zen project to do. It's like a coral looking bracelet. This is something that I'm currently selling in my current collection. And this one that I'm showing you, I've used coral beads for these rounds and then seed beads. But I thought I'd show you how to do that. If you have some beads like these beads that I got sent from BB Craft, which they're not very regular, and also the seed beads, you know, they're all kind of different shapes and sizes. And this is a great way to use up any of those beads that are less regular than, say, Miyuki or Toho or something like that. It actually looks great because they are irregular, and obviously coral, you know, in nature would be irregular. Let's do that. And I've had my eye beads that is in this pack of 10 that I got sent from BB Craft. These ones that are like red and pink, it's like a color party. I absolutely adore those. So I'm going to be using those today to show you how to do this. And the great thing about this project is it's actually works up pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm going to use some of those. I don't know if that's the right number that I'll need or not. And I've got this pack of 24 seed beads also that came from BB Craft, which is fun. They are not as regular as your Miyukis or your Tohos would be, but for this project they're absolutely great. And I'm thinking, I've already kind of been looking at colors, so I'm thinking I'm going to do a red with a little pink on the tip. See, if you look at this, what I did was I did a darker pink on the ends, just to kind of I don't know, makes it look more natural. So I'm going to do the darker red for the body and a hot pink for the tips for you. And that hopefully will bring out some of the pink in those. And so these are 11 O's, and then you're going to need some 8 O's. This is again a set from BB Craft, and I'm just going to use these red ones right here. And yeah, these are all different sizes. Like, some of them are quite long, some of them are really skinny. Like, I'll just show you the difference between them. Can you see the difference between the skinny ones and the... So, you know, if you have some really irregular beads and you're like not wanting to kind of get rid of them, but you don't really know what to do with them, this is a really perfect project for that. Okay, then you're also going to need a clasp of some kind. So I got these magnetic clasps from BB Craft, which I like using them for bracelets because they're easy to put on and off. On this one, for instance, I used a lobster claw with a ring and some jump rings. So you will need some jump rings, because if you watch my videos, you know I don't like actually beading the entire clasp into the project, because you might want to change the clasp, or the clasp, say you were using a lobster claw and the clasp broke or something, you'd want to change it. You can just detach the jump rings and change the clasp. So, but I'm going to be using this one with some jump rings. So I will get the bead mat set up, and we'll get started. Okay, so thread your needle. I've got about 4 feet of 6-pound Fireline in crystal, and the reason I'm using crystal is just because these beads and these beads, you can see through them, these crackle beads. I don't know if, yeah, I think if it was black you'd probably see inside them. So okay, so we're gonna just grab a stopper bead. So put one bead on, doesn't matter any bead you have, and just go through it again. And I'm actually, because I'm going to put my tail on, my clasp on, make a little area for my clasp at the end, I'm going to leave 6 or 7 inches of a tail here at the end. So yeah, you've just sewn around that, and that's going to stop everything from falling off. Now what we want to do is work out how long we want our bracelet to be. So what I do is I pick up 6 of my 8/0 seed beads. So grab 6, just 6 of those, and then a crackle bead, and 6 and a crackle bead, and just keep going. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure like approximately how long we're going to want our bracelet to be. So you're just going to keep picking up 6 and a crackle, and until we know we've got the right fit-ish. So just do that, and I will come back to you in a second. Okay, so I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my crackle beads, 6 8/0s in between each one, and at both ends. Obviously that last bead there is my stopper bead, and from my wrist, which is about 6.5 inch wrist, if I hold the 2 ends together, I've got a little over an inch. I don't know if the camera's going to really show that, but anyway, a little over an inch, which once I've got this, and then I've got my jump rings, and then I've got the little triangle areas, diamond areas at the end, this little loop, say it's that bit, it'll probably be about the clasp. Yeah, I think we're going to be good. If you're a little worried, you could either, if your wrist is much bigger, just add another and another 6. If it's too big, you could take like 3 or 4 off each end. Say you only wanted 3 on each end of these 8/0s, you could take a couple off. I might actually add like 2 on, an extra 2 on each end. So we'll add the other 2 on this end once we get back to that end. I'm just going to leave the stopper bead for now, and when we get back, we'll add another 2. So this end I've got 8 on this end. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to pick up with one of your 11/0 seed beads, you're going to pick up 6 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 11/0s. Okay, and then you're going to, nope, I'm sorry, take that. Yes, that is correct. Okay, 6 11/0s, and squish them right down against your 8/0s, and the very first 11/0 that you've put on, which you're pulling your thread and kind of squishing them together, you're going to sew back through it from, like, to form a loop. So if that's the rest of the bracelet, I'm sewing towards myself. So what I want to do is form a loop, okay? And you can just slide that loop down so that it's butted up against the 8/0s there, okay? So that's butted up against the 8 O's. So then I'm going to go through the next 11 O on the ring. Then I'm going to pick up another 11 O. So, and go through the next 11 O on the ring. Then I'm going to skip the next one and go through the next 11 O on the ring. And then I'm going to pick up one more and go through the next 11 O. Make sure my thread stays on the correct side. And when I pull it, I've made a little diamond shape. Now I'm going to go through that very first 11 O and down the next 8 O onto the bracelet. Now we're going to come back later to reinforce this, but right now we're just going to sew the rest of the bracelet, get these ends in place. And what I like to do at the very end, I get another piece of thread, and I don't use Fireline for the reinforcing. I'm going to be using some c-lon just as an extra reinforcement along the main body, so that if like one thread breaks, say the Fireline breaks, the whole thing isn't going to fall apart, just maybe some of the fringing might. So yeah, I just find that the c-lon is like more springy, and it's a good reinforcing thread. It does tend to get tangled if you're doing too much beading with it, but it's good for something like that. Okay, so we've got our end in place. So for the fringe part, what you're going to do, you're going to pick up 5 of your color A, 5 color A, 1 color B, and 1 color A. So you've got, come back here. So you've got 5 of your main color, and then your little accent color, and then 1 of your other color. Push all of that down to where you're coming out between the 8 O's. Then you're going to skip forward to this second, so you're skipping one of your color A, the color B, and the color A, and then you're just going to go through the next 2 of your color B's. I mean your color A's, sorry. Your main color. Then you're going to pick up 3 of your main color, 1 of your accent color, and 1 more of your main color. So this time I've picked up 3, 1, and 1. Okay. And push all of that down. And again, I'm going to skip 1 main color, 1 accent color, 1 main color, and go through those 2 of the next color on my branch there that I've created. Squeeze them down, and what you'll need to do is just check that it's pulled tightly, sitting okay, and then go down the 2 main ones towards your bracelet and through the very next 8 O. And so when you pull that, what you've got is a little, let me see if I can get that out of the way. Okay, so coming up you've got 2, 2, 2 of your main color, 2 of your accent color, and you've got 1, 1, 1. You went back down these 2, and then you picked up 3 of your main color, an accent color, another, went down those 2, down those, and then you come down and you go through the next 8-0. Okay, and you're just going to repeat that everywhere you're in between, whenever you're coming out in between an 8-0. So, except not next to your larger beads, just when you're in between these. So I'll do it one more time. So you're picking up 5 of your main color, 1 of your accent color, and 1 of your main color. Then you're going to skip the top 3, so main color, accent color, main color. Go down the next 2. Make sure those sit, form a little, you will have to be careful just to make sure that those beads, those 3 beads at the tip are sitting nicely. Then you're going to pick up 3, 1, and 3. I'm sorry, 3, 1, and 1. So the first time when you're coming up, you pick up 5, 1, and 1, and then for the second branch, you do 3, 1, and 1. You skip those 3 and you just go down those 2, back towards the main branch, and these 2. Make sure that's sitting nicely. And then whichever bead you're coming out, which I'm coming out this one, I'm going to go into the next 8-0. Okay, so I'm going to do that all the way until I get to here, and then all you're going to do is pass through this bead, that bead, and you're just going to repeat the entire way along the bracelet until you get to the other end and where you're going to make another of these loops. So I will just work to here, and then I'll show you me passing through, and then I'll show you when I get to the end. Okay, so I've worked along the branch, the first section of the branch, and I'm at my last 8-0, so I'm just going to go through the 8-0, through the seed bead, and through the next 8-0, or the crackle bead, I should say. And so that is my first branch section there. I actually made a mistake in this, but you won't see it. That's the beauty of this project, is you can't really tell. One of these branches, I accidentally picked up an extra bead, so it had 3, had an extra bead on it. But anyway, no one's ever going to tell, because it's the overall effect that you're looking at. And that's my little triangle there, where we're going to have our clasp coming out of. So I would recommend, when you're picking your colors, to pick an 8-0 that matches your main color 11-0s. And then if you want to change up colors, you can change up the ends, but you could also, migrate. There's no reason you couldn't do an ombre of your 8-0s and an ombre of your 11-0s if you really were up to it. There's kind of 2 challenges in this project. Otherwise, it's very simple, and as I said, as you're working along, it becomes very relaxing, actually, just going 5, 1 and 3, 1. So the 2 challenges are tension. So one of the things you can do, if your main section keeps getting looser, just tighten your sorry, hang on one second. Yeah, you can just tighten your stopper bead and just snuggle all that up again. I would just make sure as you're working here that you're kind of keeping this end, the working end, okay. The other thing is the tension on the branches. If you're having trouble, if you grab with your fingernail the top 3 beads and then pull downwards. Let me show you what I mean. So I pick up my 5, my 1, and my 1, and I go down, I go through my 2. Now if you have a problem, I'm just going to make this bad. See how that's so gappy there? All you have to do is you can just grab with your nail the top 3 beads and then pull, and see it just shot right down. It's all nice and snugged up now. So that's how to deal with the tension within each little branch, and as long as you're kind of keeping the branches tight, you'll be absolutely fine. The only other thing you'll find as you work along is you tend to get it snaggled up. So I like to let my work drop under my hand and try and work with the tail end here. That might help you. So, okay, keep working and I'll show you what to do when we get to our stopper bead. Okay, I just wanted to show you, I've done about half of this and my thread is getting really short. So I'm going to show you how to deal with that if you need to add on more thread. So I've just finished doing a branch here, and instead of going towards the next, you know, through the 8/0 like I would normally do and through the next gap and make another branch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 8/0 going towards the bit I've already done instead, and I'm going to go up this branch right here. What you don't want any knots in your main trunk or artery of the, so you don't want to put any knots along the main bracelet right now, at least. So we're going to knot in, on the next branch over that I've just, so not the branch I just made, but the next branch over, I've gone up to the kind of triangle area of it, and I'm just going to put a knot right here. So I'm going to go around this tree trunk if I can. Oop. Kind of hard to get around it. There we go. And then I'm just holding the loop, and I'm going to sew my needle through that loop that I'm holding, and then I'm just going to pull gently until the knot goes down to that little point right there, and then I'm going to go up one of these branches. It doesn't matter which one. I can get through that bead. Just pull my knot in a little more. There we go. And I'm going to go all the way around the circle there at the end. So, and back down these two to where my knot was. And then I'm just going to cut that end off. Being careful not to cut your branches. Okay, so I've ended that thread. Now I need to add on a new thread. Just push my stopper bead tighter again. So let me get my new thread, and then I'm going to go back a few branches. So I'm just going to pick this one before my 8mm. It doesn't really matter which one you go to. And I'm going to sew down the 4 So the two of one of the branches, and then the two in the main branch. So if you see, that's my, so I'm skipping those three at the top. I'm just going to sew, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave a tail here, which I can then sew in at the end. So then I'm just going to run along until I get to the bead, the 8/0, where I should be coming out. So I've just put a branch next between those two, so the next area is going to be that one. So I will just run along till I get to that. And then I'm going to work for a minute just holding on to my tail so it doesn't slip out and I don't pull too tightly. But once you've done your first branch, you can let go of your tail. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry about that. Camera just cut out for some reason. Yeah, so all you're going to do is get to your next place and just pick up your 5, 1, and 1 and just continue on, but just make sure that you don't pull that end too tightly so that you don't undo your work, pull the tail out of the end. So when you're tightening that up, you can actually pull your tail as well. Just to make sure that that gets nice and tight. And when you move on to your next branch, after you've added your 3 1 and 1 to this branch, you will be absolutely fine. That tail should not pull out at all. Oops, I just got completely looped around everything. Anyway, you get the idea. So just, there we go. You'll be able to just tighten that up if you give that tail a little tug. Once you've gone down and through your next 8/0. And you'll be ready to continue on as normal until you get to the end. And this time, hopefully, I will make it with my new thread added. And once I get there, I will come back and show you what to do at the other end as far as the clasp. Okay, so I've worked down to my end. Now, if you recall, at the other end, I added an extra 2 beads on my 6. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take off my stopper bead. Just pull that off. And these are actually big enough, I don't necessarily need a needle. So I'm going to just stick on 2 of my 8/0s, 1 and 2, and I'm going to just stick my stopper bead back on for now, just to keep everything from falling off while I'm working to the end. Now you're going to have to not work right up to your stopper bead when you're adding your coral fringing. So this is my stopper bead right here, so I'm going to go up through him again. Okay, that's my stopper bead, so I'm going to push it down right to the end. So I'm going to work my fringing up to right here. So this is my stopper, so pretend he isn't there. It might be helpful for you to put a completely different bead there so that you know that that's not a bead that's part of your main branch. So you're going to work, so I've worked the first gap, second gap there, until you get to the last gap, but not your stopper. Don't work after that between your stopper, if that makes sense. So I'll do that and then I will come back to you. Okay, so I've worked along and I'm coming out from the one, so I've worked a branch right here and then I'm coming out, and this is my stopper bead. I'm going to take that off now. And that's just my tail that I started with. This is the tail that my needle's on. So I'm going to pick up 6 just like we did on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm picking up 6 of my 11 O's. Push them down, and just like we did on the other end, you just go back through that very first one that you went through in order to form a ring. So this is where it gets a little tricky, trying not to get looped around everything. Okay, and you can just pull your tail the opposite way in order to shovel that back down again. And then I'm just going to push my loop that I've made down, just slide it down, so that it butts right up against your last 8O. Okay, then let me just pick this up so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so then you're going to pick up 1 more seed bead and you're going to go through the next, sorry, that's incorrect. You're going to go through the next bead, then you're going to pick up 1 more seed bead. So I've gone through the bottom bead and then 1 more. And then I'm picking up a seed bead and go through the next bead. Skip the next bead and go through the one after that. Pick up another bead. Go through the next bead, and then go through the bottom bead, and then you're going to pull that other end just to make sure that it's all tightened up again. And then we're going to tie our beginning tail and our current working thread together. So just do a granny knot, a right over left, left over right sort of affair. Or a square knot, actually, that is. And then we're going to continue down our 8 O's. Just go down a few, like, I don't know, I'm going to go down 4. And then you're going to go up into one of your branches that's wherever you're coming out from, the equivalent branch. Which is this one here. And then you're just going to tie a knot and tie off your thread. So where am I coming out? Let me see. I am coming out, okay, right here. I'm going to, sure, let's tie a knot here then. Okay. So just form a loop and go through it, and pull. Then I'm going to go around the little tip, the 3 at the tip. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go back down here, coming out of the 11 O's, and I'll just cut my thread there. Okay, and then with the other thread that you started with, you're going to go around your loop and pick another branch and go out and cut that off. Any other extra ones, just do similar. Go around, go down another branch, cut them off. Then what I like to do is I like to take a piece of c-lon and I run around my diamond at the end. So I start, say I start next to one of these 8mm, and I would go down, so my tail would stick out here. Go down around here all the way along the bracelet, around the other end, and then back to an 8mm, and then I tie both ends off. And that just gives the main body a little extra strength. So I won't show you me doing that, but if I'm just telling you that's what I do to reinforce. And so I'll do that, and then I will show you how to attach your clasp. Okay, so I've got all of my threads sewn in now, and cut, the ends are all removed. So I'll show you how to put on the jump rings. So if you've watched my videos before, you'll know I like to use 2 because we're unable to solder the jump rings closed because it could melt our Fireline. So therefore, you're always going to have a little possibility that the thread could slip through the join, but it's very unlikely that the thread is going to slip through the join on 2 jump rings at the same time. So I like to use 2. So I've just opened my jump ring, picked up my little diamond at the end there, and these clasps actually have a soldered jump ring as well, so I just go hook that on there and then twist it shut again. And give it a little wiggle, make sure that it's smooth and it's not going to catch on anything. And then I just do another one right next to it. So I wiggle it open, make sure it's going to line up nicely. See, that one's a little bit, one side is higher than the other, so I'm just giving it a squash so that that join meets up. And I know that join is going to meet up. And then I'm ready to actually put it on, so I open it, put that jump ring through my diamond there, and which way, so I need to go through this way, get on there we go. And then I can just close this jump ring up as well. Give him a little wiggle, make sure he's nice and then so there I've got 2 jump rings going through my beadwork, and that should hold that on there. So just do exactly the same on the other end. I won't make you watch me, and I'll show you the final product in just a second. Okay, so I finished my clasp and my bracelet is ready. Let's see if it fits me. Perfect. It absolutely is just the right size for me. And I really love this color combination, this red and pink. The crackle beads are perfect for it. This is really a great use for these beads. They almost look like coral actually because they are kind of irregular. So, and I have so many other colors. I can do these in all kinds of combinations. Like, I really love this coral color right here, or even this burnt kind of reddish one. Like those two would be so pretty. Or I could do some greens and yellows. I mean, really, it's a fun project. It doesn't take too long, and the texture afterwards, I just can't stop like playing with it when I'm wearing these bracelets because it's so much fun. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this project, and if you have, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.